Hey, welcome everyone to another Tint Wisdom. Today I am joined with Harry Rahman, previous Tint Wisdom guest. Harry, thank you for joining today.
Thanks for having me, Eric. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I actually had some questions for you, and some of the things I wanted to talk today about could have probably been answered over the phone. However, I feel like it's more valuable to do it through a live stream in this format where everybody can join in and listen and learn than me just having a phone call with you. So appreciate you doing this, and I hope everybody else finds the value in today's conversation. You know, that is the goal always behind the Tint Wisdoms, the idea behind them. They have, the guests, it basically has to meet two criteria. It has to be someone that I want to get to know more about, I have questions about, and somebody that, and the topics have to be those that I feel the tint community can benefit from. And that's the whole idea. It's never a product promotion. It's never a commercial. It's never that. This is a chance to sit down. The way I always describe it to guests beforehand is, hey, we're going to sit down and get to know each other over coffee through the computer. So I appreciate everybody who watches every week. And if there is a guest that you want to see on, or there's certain topics you want to see asked, just drop it in the comments, tag the person in the comments, ask the question in the comments, whatever it is. And we'll get them on here, we'll ask the questions, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to pull up the chat, also give everybody a chance to get in here. If you're in here already, you can get other tinters in here by sharing this live stream, share it into groups, share it on your page. It helps more people find out that we're live, which leads to more questions, which leads to more answers, which leads to more wisdom. So go ahead and share it if you haven't yet, and then we're going to jump in, and I have some questions for you, Harry. So just pulling up this live stream. Go ahead.
I like the consistency of what you're doing, because every week, there are times when I do get a chance to watch it live, and then most of the times, honestly, I don't get a chance to watch it live, but I see the recordings later on. But one thing is for sure is that we know that Eric will have somebody on there. So keep up the, it's a lot of work getting people on and keeping them on, but I love the consistency.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The consistency is definitely part of this success, I feel like, or, part of how everybody has contributed to it. And, I feel like there's always levels to be learned. So you can learn from, the guests on here, you can learn from the way that we're doing this show. You can learn how you do your Super Thursdays. And like you just mentioned, there's consistency. And, if you watch the first Tint Wisdom, it was terrible. I was sitting outside of Starbucks in a windy Michigan, middle of nowhere with the worst internet connection. But, something that I did was I just said, hey, I'm going to do this every Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's just going to be what it is. And regardless, when you commit to that publicly, it helps you do it. And I feel like you did the same with the Super Thursdays. I don't know if you had a live stream career before you started it, but, you can see the progression of you just getting more comfortable on camera. And, I just commend you for the same thing. And what I'm trying to say in a lot of words is, I think everybody can take those lessons and apply them to their own tint business. So when you're looking at things like Instagram, or you're looking at Facebook, or you're looking at YouTube, and you're going, hey, these things aren't working for me. Well, one checkbox you should consider is, are you consistently working at it? Are you consistently doing it? Are you consistently trying to improve? Because part of that success is typically consistency.
And, Eric, I've realized that for me, consistency comes with the schedule. Consistency comes with a calendar. And once it's on the calendar, the calendar reminds me what to do instead of me reminding the calendar what to do. So once it's in the system, whether it's my Super Thursdays or some of, what you're doing, but in business and in life, whether it's going to church, whether it's going to paychecks for employees, you talk about being late. It's just a matter of consistency in your business. If you focus in on scheduling, if you're, the schedule and your calendar should tell you what to do, right? And that's even in my workouts, going to the gym. I run, Eric, and, there are times I get home at 6 p.m. There are times I get home at 8 p.m. There are times I get home at 11 p.m. But my deal is when I get home, I've got to try to do 3 miles, right? Yep. I don't do it every day. There are days I skip. I've got a treadmill at home as well. But the main thing is if it's on your schedule, they're more than likely sooner or later you're going to pick up on it, and you're going to. So don't delete it off the schedule, even if you don't copy it every day that it reminds you. It's a great thing. So I mean, it's just life. I look at employees. I look at ball players. You see people that come in the NBA and have a great year, and then there are those that are just consistent. They may not be the best, but they're consistently doing things really well.
Yeah, I myself obviously use a schedule. Also, I kind of jot down like little to-do lists throughout the day. If I know I have a bunch of things to do, whether it be that day or the next day or whatever it is, just jotting down some basic to-do lists helps me when I'm kind of feeling like, man, there's so much to do. I can look at that and go, all right, what can I knock out? Or which is the most important? Or which has a time deadline on it and I should get that done? Because if not, it's the things you put effort into, the things you focus on, those are the things that grow. And if you don't consciously work at that, then they're just, I think they live in the back of your mind, but they don't necessarily make it to action all the time. Sure. So actually, before we jump into today's topic, I just kind of want to rewind. We mentioned Super Thursdays. So Super Thursdays are your videos that you post on Veloce Innovation. They're on Facebook, they're on YouTube. And the idea behind them is you're sharing tips regarding, the business practices. You tell me.
Yeah, first of all, I think, Eric, they say that the best way to receive is to give. And God's been very, very kind to me. It's not that I have much, but whatever I do have, I really value. And I feel that with the experiences we have, if we put out good information, I think the people, it helps a lot of different people. I've had people that, I had a dealer in the greater Austin area who's not even a customer of ours, called me up and said, he said, man, I don't buy anything from you, but I watch your videos and I get these tips. I'd like to buy something from you. And I said, look, we don't have our automotive line yet, so I can't, and they're primarily 90% automotive. And I said, look, don't worry about it. When the time's right, we'll figure out if we can do business together, if we're a good fit or not. But the purpose of Super Thursdays was that, my background is in marketing, and I wanted to put out content, not just that is just available readily, but from a marketing and a business development perspective. There are a lot of good people who have a lot of knowledge about installation practices, which I can never match. My knowledge, and if you ask me how to install 8mm film with caulking on X type of window, I would be lost. So I look at those people to help grow me. But on the business side, on the employee side, on the sales side, on the marketing side, those are my passions. Today people ask me, do you love window film? And, I may get in some trouble for saying this, but look, I love film. But if I was in the dog food industry, I would find a way, and I would love the dog food industry, right? Sure. So for me, my love and passion is marketing and sales and is growth. What fills the whole inside of my heart, other than my family and fancy cars, if I can afford them one day, is seeing a business and seeing people grow, whether it's employees or businesses. So Super Thursdays are all about, it's what I describe as my way of giving back to the world, is putting out content. And if I put them out in 10-minute increments. My goal is sometimes it's 9, sometimes it's 11, but 10 minutes. It's once a week. If you can take one thing away from there and implement in your business, it's well worth my time. And then sooner or later, people are going to realize that, okay, look, these guys are helping us. I had another dealer who, again, doesn't do business with us that said, look, I get more out of you than my current suppliers, and I've been doing this for 15 years. I don't need credibility. I don't need a pat on the back. I'm going to do it whether you use it or not. I'm going to put out some content that I feel is valuable.
Right. Well, and I mean, I commend you for it, because I feel like, you're in like the flat glass world. I can't think of anyone else consistently putting out videos. I can't think of anyone else putting out videos consistently, period, from a manufacturer level or dealer level, like, and so on. So, I mean, I always I think there's something to even just the part of it being one of the first and kind of leading that way. But obviously your intent behind it is, a huge part of it as well. One of the words you just brought up was marketing, and you said marketing was your passion. And marketing, I'm glad you said that, because marketing was one of the things I actually wanted to talk to you about today, because I know that's your passion, and it was something that was brought up on last Tuesday's Tint Wisdom 2 days ago with Ralph Van Pelt, and their marketing is thrown around with a lot of different contexts. So marketing sometimes can be like, oh, it's just good marketing, or are you falling into marketing? And marketing, to me, when I think marketing, I think communication. So I think marketing is communicating to your customers about, like what your brand is about, what your services are. It's communication. So maybe you have a new product, that's marketing. The flip side, I think sometimes marketing will get a bad rep because people feel like marketing is sales in a bad way. Like it's like deception. It's there to take your money. It's there to make something seem like to polish a turd. If that's, you can market something that's shitty, but make it sound good or whatever it is. So, what is marketing to you? Obviously it's your formal background as well, right?
Yes. So my degree's in marketing. Yes. My degree's in marketing, and I have a minor in management from the University of Houston. But sorry about that, guys. So reality is that my description, marketing is it's become one of those words. It's kind of like organic, right? It's the word ceramic. It had its intention, and then what it's used for now is very different from what its intention and what it actually is. It's the word organic. It's the word nano. You guys remember that there is the Hummer came out with a vehicle. I think it was the H2 or the H3 that they called it the Nano Hummer. Right now, we all know how big a Hummer is, right?
Yeah,
right. It's not it's a Nano. So the description for me is marketing is the bridge from product to consumer, from manufacturer or product to consumer, right? It's that link. Now, just like a gun, and I'm not saying I'm for guns, I'm not saying against guns, not a political debate right now, but it's like any tool. It's a race car. Car, it's a sports car that has 600 horsepower. Can it be used for the wrong purpose? You bet it could. It's like a gun. Can it be used for the wrong purpose? You bet. But does that not mean we should have laws for guns? Yes, we should allow guns, but have some laws. Cars, look, there are people coming out with 800, 900 horsepower from the factory, but you can use it for drag racing on the street and kill people. So marketing is the same way. Can it be used for deception? You bet it can. But the reality is that most companies, and I'll give you a short example, most companies look at marketing as a way to brand their product, right? From a branding perspective. I look at it as, here is a great product, or here is a product, a good product, and here's the consumer. How you take this product to the consumer is that bridge, right? And that bridge I define as and these are just my words. You may not read them in a book, or you probably won't read them in a book, but that's my vision of what marketing is. And what's interesting is I have a very good friend that graduated with me, and Eric, if you asked him after, I think it took us a lot longer than 4 years to graduate, both of us. But if you asked him what the definition of marketing is, he wouldn't be able to tell you. So it's still, again, I'm not saying my definition is the right one. So in a dealership, in a window film dealer, I hear a lot of people say, look, I got to take on this product and it will help me. I think it'll be better for my business. Let me tell you, the answer is not the product. The answer is this bridge in marketing. I put out the videos that I put out, or if you listen to a lot of good people, if you listen to some of your speakers, if you listen to if you listen to anybody that talks about marketing, take something, and this is the bridge. What you put on that bridge, a car, an SUV, a Toyota, a Mercedes, a Lamborghini, is a different issue. The main thing is the bridge, and that's what you should focus on in a dealership. Is how am I, a window film dealer, going to get out? I had a dealer tell me today, he said, I feel like this is going to be a great year. And I said, that's wonderful. My 9-year-old in his tennis tournament a month ago said, Dad, I think I'm going to have a great tournament. And he lost his first game. He went into consolation and he lost that game, and he was out of the tournament. And feelings are not going to make you. Donald Trump, this great economy, is not going to, again, and I'm not saying I don't love him, and I'll have that conversation any day of the week with anybody, but this
not
is
with me, not here, because
yeah. But I'm saying, so my point is that I'm saying that don't depend on the economy, and we have a great economy. I love it. I really love where we're at. We're very fortunate where we're at right now. But what I'm saying is that the economy is not going to make or break your business. What you do, the seeds that you plant, are what is, so focus in on whatever your efforts are, and ride the economy. It's amazing.
Sure. I mean, the way I kind of think about it is like, the economy is like the wind blowing and you're in a sailboat. Okay. So the wind might blow faster, it might blow slower. But at the end of the day, if you don't grab the steering wheel, if you just say, hey, we're going to grow, we're doing all the right things, we're going to grow. To me, that's like somebody running the sailboat, but nobody's holding the steering wheel. No one's directing it. No one's, putting up the sails and so on. You're just waiting to see where you drift, and hopefully everything, you're doing the right things, you're going to drift in the right direction. When you start to own that communication, you take control of that steering wheel, you take control of those sails, and you can say, hey, we're going to grow and we're going to do more of this to grow faster in that direction. You know what direction you're heading in, and you're controlling the throttle as well. So, one of the things that kind of always gets me a little riled up is when I see people, they'll be like, hey, we see these threads probably every week in Facebook, and they'll say, hey, what is everybody doing for marketing that's working for them? And then you get somebody who says like Facebook, and then somebody else will say like, well, I'm doing Instagram, Google ads, and so on. Then you get people who go like, I don't need no marketing. I'm just, word of mouth is the best thing, and so on. That's true. Word of mouth is wonderful. But even word of mouth, you can apply methods to get more word of mouth, to get those word of mouths in the form of reviews, to now how do you get people to actually hear the word of mouth that other people are getting and amplify that message and so on. So it's just that attitude of like, I don't need marketing. Well, you might not need marketing. You might be doing fine, but you might find yourself in a time when you do need marketing, or you might find yourself missing out on opportunity because you don't. You're not in that boat.
I think, it comes down to what and you said it best. I'll just describe it in my own words. Is I call it, inbound versus outbound activity, right? So think of these two flaps. There are two flaps. When inbound is full, when you're getting so many phone calls that you can't even reach outbound, outbound is closed, right? So inbound is open fully because you're getting so many calls, and outbound is closed. So when the phone's ringing, go for it, right? What happens is when this slows down, your outbound flap needs to open. And this is what you have control over. You have control over your outbound flap. You don't have control over your inbound flap, right? You don't directly, because there are times you plant seeds and they come in right away. So when the inbound flap goes down, you can't keep your outbound flap closed and say, hey, man, I think summer's coming around and I'll get busy. You have to keep planting seeds when your outbound flap. So what is your outbound flap? Your outbound flap are all the seeds that you're planting, right? So people say, Harry, when you started, we weren't really sure what was going on. And, we didn't see, and now we're seeing a bunch of posts out there. We're seeing dealers, and you're doing this. And I said, look, all I had control over was I was planting the seeds, right? So when you go to a farm today and you see all these trees, let me tell you, the day it started, there were no trees there. Somebody was just planting seeds. And then there was one, and then there were two, and then all of it. The farm that you see today is a farm today. It wasn't. So if you want to take control of the outbound side, you have to plant trees. The birds, and don't get me wrong, once in a while, a bird flies in, Eric, and it drops a seed, and it cross-pollinates something, and you get something, and you're like, whoa, this dropped in from, and that is going to happen. But focus on what you have control over and use those flaps.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's almost like human nature sometimes to feel like, I don't understand that marketing, or I don't know what to do. So you kind of close yourself off to it. And it's also easy, I think, sometimes to say, hey, does, like, for example, like, does Instagram work for anybody? And somebody says, you know, no, you don't get any business out of it, blah, blah, blah. If you're accepting those answers from people who saying it's not working, you're listening to the people who haven't figured out how to make it work. You should ignore anybody who says it doesn't work and only focus on the people who are saying they know how it works. Because I can tell you, you know, if you get 10 people saying Instagram doesn't work and you get one person saying Instagram does work, if you buy that, well, most people say it doesn't work, so you're missing the whole opportunity. You're going to find yourself. You can find people who will say something doesn't work in every industry, and then, or in every avenue, and then eventually you'll have nothing. You'll go, marketing doesn't work, you know. So just, you know,
I describe it as you're in a boat and you're out fishing. Right. You're out fishing at a lake or you're out fishing in the ocean. Just because you're not catching any fish,
right,
does not mean there are no fish in there, right?
You could be in there for months fishing, starving.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Still an ocean.
Just because you're not catching it doesn't mean there are no. Just because there are 6 other boats that are sitting there that are not catching doesn't mean that one boat. So you have to look at the bait, and you have to question yourself. And you have to look at the bait and say, is this the right bait, right? So if you're reaching out to interior designers and you're not getting any phone calls back, you have to ask, am I saying the right thing, right?
Right.
Second thing you have to figure out is, am I even at the right spot? Do I need to move a little bit, right? Third thing is, how far off the ground am I? Am I looking for bottom feeders or the fish that I'm looking for that are out here? Where exactly? So you have to look in the mirror and say, what do I have control? I have people that say, well, I do great at home shows. And I have others that say home shows are dead. And I have some that say print, it works. And I have some that say print is dead. Let me tell you, all of these things work. Every single thing works. You just have to have a recipe to what makes it work. And here is, Eric, I don't, a lot of the ideas that I have are not my ideas. I do a lot of reading and I watch a lot of motivational stuff. So you don't have to be the best marketer in the world. You don't have to be the most innovative person in the world. Watch videos. I tell our dealers, I said, 10 minutes a week. I said, I guarantee you that you take one of those things away, it'll be worth your 10 minutes. You're driving home. You're driving to work, and you're driving to an appointment. You're sitting there doing a back window. Put on your earpiece and take 10 minutes. And you don't have to listen to me. Find somebody that you connect to, but reinvest in yourself instead of just invest in yourself.
That was one of the biggest things that I learned in my adult life. Was I didn't realize as a kid, I didn't realize until well after college, that you can improve how smart you are, how you can improve your whole thought process. I didn't know that growing up. I mean, I went to decent schools and private schools and all that, but what I thought was you're kind of born with an ability to, some people are smarter than others, and you kind of are where you are. And I thought learning was just the act of memorization. And, as we all now have access to podcasts and YouTube videos and everybody in this plethora of content, you can learn so much. You can learn it in the car. You can learn it when you're, falling asleep. I listen to podcasts. That's what puts me to sleep at night. And whatever I learn before I go to sleep, cool. And, the mentality you have to have is you have to remind yourself to look for the little learning points. Look for the things you can apply. Don't focus on the things you don't like, or focus on the things you don't agree with or you don't know about. Focus on the little bits that you do, because there's no point of worrying about what you don't like about somebody or what you don't agree with. Just focus on the little value. And that's how I feel like I use Facebook groups, and I think everybody should use Facebook groups, is if you don't like somebody in the group, don't worry about that person. If you don't like 2 out of the 3 posts that are in there, don't worry about it. If you don't even like the topic of a thread, read the comments. But there's always some valuable knowledge somewhere in there. And that's what you have to be hunting for.
Yeah, the main thing is you have to get outside of your head. I mean, you really have to separate. Look, if you look for all the answers within your head, you're doing yourself an injustice. You have to look. You find a mentor. This industry has, I see in many ways, our industry is so awesome, Eric, because people can get on these groups and ask for other people's advice and walk away with something so cool. I love it when I see people asking for advice on these groups, and when I see other people chiming in and giving them. And guys, I don't give a crap what you're doing. Stop the negativity, right? I mean, if somebody asks a dumb question, if they had the courage to ask the question, don't put somebody down. I mean, Eric, that's one thing that I want to take time out of my day just to go say to those people that are putting people down that don't do it. Like, let them ask. But what's amazing is I'm not going to focus on the 2% of the people. 98% of the people are so helpful, and it's amazing. I love it.
Yep, 100%. I agree with you. And, the effort it takes to tell somebody, man, I'm sick of these stupid questions and so on, like that same effort can direct them towards an answer, or even better, just if you want to ignore it altogether, that's fine. But it's one of those, like, if you don't have anything nice to say, nobody needs to hear the negativity. But,
sure.
It is what it is. I feel like we're in the best times there's ever been regarding that. I think, especially within our industry and the online culture, it's only getting better and better. And, people are going to gravitate towards what they like and away from what they don't like. And I think the majority, like you said, are positive people. They want to help. They love the community factor. And if you're unhappy, I hope things work out and you become happy, and we can all be friends eventually.
And Eric, I may get in trouble for saying this, but guys, when somebody comes up with that negative thought process and culture, put them to bed. And not literally, but like, you should say, hey, there's no need for this. Like, let them be the outcast. Right. Stand up for positive culture. And if somebody says something negative, call them out and say, hey, take that stuff somewhere else.
Yeah. 1,000% agree. And that's the beauty of, like, there's a lot of Facebook groups, because some Facebook groups will boot you out in a second. Others won't. And they are what they are, and they all have their value, and it's like just going in a different room. You go into whatever room you like. You don't have to like every rule in there, but you pick where you want to go.
I really want to bring up this topic, because the question is, hey, if I have a negative experience, because I see this in the groups, that, hey, look, I'm not bashing, I'm sharing my negative experience. I think it's okay to share your negative experience or your positive experience. But, the question is, and I want to ask you this because I have my own opinion on it. Where's the line, Eric?
Yeah. The line.
No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree.
Your opinion.
There is no line. The line moves because it's like a gray line, and it's all within context, and it's all misunderstandings a lot of times or whatnot. So there's no line. There's no perfect way to run a group, because it's like saying there's no perfect way to cook a steak. We can't all agree in the world the one perfect way to cook a steak. Now, are we going to argue that there's only one delicious way? No, there's a bunch of delicious ways, and that's where I think it's great. Like, if somebody today starts another Facebook group, it's not like, oh man, look, no, it's another Facebook group, and if they bring something to the table that adds value, people are going to be drawn in there. And if they don't, they don't. And everybody has their own flavor. That's the free world. That's just like business. Yeah. We all get to do whatever we want.
Agreed.
What do you think? What's the line?
I agree with you. It is a gray line, but I think that, one can be objective. I think objectivity is one of the biggest things, is that, whether you are a Republican or a Democrat, there are things that each party does well, right? And if you focus in, I look at the issue at hand, right? I look at the issue at hand and I say, okay, let me just take the message away from the messenger and see what does that message mean to me. So let me give you an idea about, America first. Right? I don't care who says it. I love the concept of America first. Let's take care of our own people before we go take care of the rest of the world. And again, I'm not talking about you, Eric. I'm just saying me. I don't care who says it. I don't care which side of the fence it comes from, the left or the right. I love America first. So what I'm saying is just be objective. So when you bash somebody, just because, the old saying that just because you do something bad does not mean you're a bad person.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
You heard that? right?
Of
So
course.
the same thing, just because a company does something bad doesn't mean that they're a bad company, right? Now, if it has to do with values and ethical values and stuff, that may be a separate issue. But
Right.
again, bad people still do some good things.
Sure. And
Yeah.
like you're saying, it just comes down to what's your frame of mind. What are you trying to accomplish here? If you're going out there and you're treating issues like sports teams and it's all fun and games and you suck and they suck and blah, 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 because I'm on this team and I don't agree with you, then of course, at the end of the day, you end up with nothing. You end up with like little wars. You know what I mean? You get fights on the way in and out. Like that's it. But if your goal is, hey, let's all get along and find a way to learn from each other and communicate, then I don't have to agree with everything you're saying, but I do want to learn more about it. And then I also appreciate you giving me the opportunity to tell you about the things maybe you don't agree with. And we can also talk about the things we do agree with. But so we don't, like, for sure, the mentality of bashing, if we're talking about a line, I think there's zero tolerance there. But at the same time, when you talk about like governing a Facebook group, if we bring it back to that, it's tough because how can you get through to people and let them know, hey, man, please don't do that. I love you. I don't want to kick you out of the group, but please don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, let's all get along. It's hard to do through text.
Yeah, I think some of these groups do a good job of warnings, which is, guys, look, you're hedging the line. Let's keep this constructive.
Yeah.
Eric, you don't have kids yet, but I'll tell you, we learn a lot from kids. And I was watching my son play his last tournament, which he did much better on. And there was a guy, in tennis, in these tournaments, they manage themselves. They make their own calls. So if this is the court and my son's playing here, he gets to make the calls on this side, and this guy gets to make his opponent the calls on this side. So my son hit a couple of shots, and it was on the line. Lines are considered in, and he called it out. So my son, he was pretty upset. And you can't talk to your parent. You're not allowed to, right? So I'm just sitting out there, and I've got this face like I don't even know what's going on, just, because you can't let your kids feel your emotion. So one cool thing was that this guy called like 3 different shots that were on the line out. So you can go get a referee. So he went and he got somebody and he said, hey, can you come watch us, right? When something like this happened. So they started watching. But what the beauty of it all was, so my son was these are crucial points. He was pretty upset. But then his opponent hit an amazing shot. And my son looks at him and he says, man, that's a great shot. And what I'm saying is, kids are really pretty pure. And even though he was pretty frustrated, he looked at him on that great shot and he said, man, that's a great shot. And the other kid was like, thank you. So that's called objectivity. Instead of saying, no, you're cheating, I'm not going to say anything good to you. But man, kids, so we can learn a lot from kids, man.
Yeah, we can learn a lot from kids. We can learn a lot from each other. And I feel like, it's obvious that nothing gets learned from like fighting or like bashing or like making enemies or any of that. So, so let's jump into some of the questions and some of the things I want to discuss. As always, anybody who has any questions that you're watching this live, or even if you're watching this after, just drop them in the comments and we'll get them asked and answered. A couple of the things I wanted to accomplish today, you mentioned automotive film. A few minutes ago, you said, you had a dealer and you didn't really have anything to offer because they're an automotive dealer. I know Automobilia is coming out, Veloce. Can you tell us timeline? What do you have planned? That's pretty exciting.
Really, I'm really excited. I'm really excited because I feel like there is some product parity in the marketplace. There's some good products. There's some good companies that are doing things that work. But
what do you mean by product parity? Sorry, what do you mean by product parity?
Yeah, no worries. So product parity is, and this happens in many industries, is that there comes a point when all products start acting and looking and performing very similar. There just comes where there's a technologically you have reached a place where everybody is kind of catching up, and there are a lot of good products in the marketplace, and they all look very similar as well. Okay. So you get to see that. So what happens when there's product parity? Look, I was part of a brand that 20 years ago had a technological advancement. And today it's, there's a lot of product parity. I mean, there are a lot of products, there are a lot of good products in the marketplace. And if you look at them, they look similar. If you look at the performance, they look similar. The price points are getting similar. So the question is, when all else is similar, who do you do business with? Right. So that's really when you have a technological advantage, it's easy to go get business. When products start looking similar, acting similar, performing similar, and that's where the automotive market is. If I look at the top 3 or 4 brands, and if I look at their specifications, everybody's the same. There's nothing that sticks out to me. Nothing. Right. Now, there may be multiple reasons for that, but let's just, let's say that so the question becomes, who do you want to do business with?
Sure.
And I think there are a couple of things that I feel very proud of in this industry, is that over the last 20 years in this industry, people that know Harry Rahman know that we're not going to go around you, right? So I feel like we are, from a value perspective, what we put out is we're going to focus in on our customers. So I'm really excited to say that we are going to stand behind our dealers and not go around our dealers. That's one of the big commitments that I wanted to make. Number 2 is, from a branding perspective, I want to answer your question about a timeline. We're about 2 months away. So we're looking at about April 1st to April 15th as a launch. We will be sending out test rolls. We've already sent out some test rolls of some products that we've done some what are called pre-production runs on, and the feedback has been excellent. We are also testing out another technology that will go out probably in the next week to 2 weeks to some of our key dealers for feedback. So 2 months, I feel that we will be ready to launch. But Eric, our branding, our marketing, and our consumer awareness programs are really, really cool. And but at the end of the day, when there is product parity, you have to ask yourself the key question: who am I going to do business with? Am I going to, who is answered before what? Because the what starts looking very similar. So I'm really excited to say that we have some very key dealers across the country that are very interested in automobilia. So the Veloce Innovation is the parent company. Veloce Automobilia is our automotive brand, and some of the products, some of the branding, some of the literature, some of the demonstrations. Eric, it's quite exciting times, and I think once again, I feel like in architectural we have come out, and I think there's some good brands out there as well. But I feel that we've come out showing that we have the ability to market, we have the ability to produce products, and I think we're doing the same. And so there are people that have tested some roles. There are people that will test more roles in 2 weeks. But Eric, I promise you that people are going to look at Veloce Automobilia and say, "Man, I really like what's going on here."
Cool. So 2 to 3 months, maybe 4, somewhere in that range, just in time for summer. And look forward to seeing more about it. If we could shift to flat glass, what I wanted to ask you about flat glass, and I feel like, I kind of go on a limb and I say like, well, if I have this question, I feel like maybe a lot of people do too. So there's definitely a buzz on Facebook, on the Facebook groups, as far as, new films coming out from Veloce, like that you've released since your initial launch. And then, a lot of little dealer, like you see dealers trying different films, some dealers, I guess, using them consistently and so on. What I wanted to do was I wanted to talk about the film that I noticed you just posted about. It was like a DR15, right?
DN15.
DN15. Okay. And I wanted to kind of nail down and talk, like, if we talk dual reflective, what are we looking at? If we talk ceramic, what are we looking at? And then any outliers. I know there's like Cool Touch IR and so on. So basically what I want to do is I kind of want to eliminate, let's not talk about metallic films, or like, the silver films, or let's talk about the core group of films so that I can understand the line and what goes where. And I think that kind of helps everybody else. If you run into a scenario where you need a film that fits, we'll all have a very clear understanding of what's what. So,
Sure.
What are those core films? What are the most popular, let's say 4 or 5?
So look, the DR films, the dual reflective films, obviously a good staple film that people look for. And even the word dual reflective is a little
super shitty word.
It's a little bit of it's a little bit of an oxymoron. Dual reflective.
The most confusing word possibly. Yeah,
it's shiny on both sides, right? Or it's kind of like so it's a little deceiving, right?
Can we pause? Can we pause right there? Everybody should pay attention to that thought, because if Harry's sitting here saying dual reflective is confusing, I'm telling you, dual reflecting is confusing. It confused me for a long time. Don't catch yourself telling a customer dual reflective and assuming they're going to understand that they're going to have a natural view during the day out, and they're going to have privacy like a one-way film. People understand one-way films. You can see from one way, you can't see from the other. Dual reflective, if it's confusing to a window film industry professional, you can 1000% be sure that their customer is not going to understand it, even if you explain it to them, unless you really, so go ahead.
A very, very good point, which is, I think the bigger issue at hand, which you're bringing up, is the nomenclature that we use inside with our peers is not something that we should use outside. We should honestly change the nomenclature within the industry so that we can better adapt to using it outside the industry, right? So we named our dual reflective films Blend, right? And the story with Blend is it is a blend of two technologies. It is shiny on the outside. So our story with Blend is that it's instead of calling it a dual reflective, we call it Blend, right? So the Blend line, what do you mean by Blend? The Blend is shiny on the outside and less shiny on the outside. So we use a combination of two technologies to get on the inside. So that way it's got a story to it, instead of just, hey, this is our DR15, or this is our DR20. What is a DR20? This is our Blend 20. And Mrs. Jones, what I mean is it's shiny. It's a blend of two technologies, shiny from the outside and less shiny from the inside, because we want you to have a better view at nighttime as well, right? Now you can go to one extreme and call it night vision, and now that's another. I mean,
that's straight confusing too, though, and it's a little deceptive. But go ahead.
It's deceptive, because to me, night vision says I should be able to. To me, night vision comes across as I see better at night,
of course,
than before. So so we've got our Blend line, which is the let's call it a multi-purpose product, right? Okay. Instead of a multi-purpose, and we've got that in a 5, 20, 27, and 35 visible light transmission. Those are the popular ones. Good staple products. A lot of companies have them. I've seen a lot of good technologies in that. I've got good products in that technology, right? A lot of companies.
Safe for all types of glass other than laminated, if I had to guess?
Yes, our focus has been that low E squared surface 2, low E surface 3, even the 5%, which cuts a lot of glare reduction. Is so again a great line. We've kept it to where it is, and then obviously laminated glass is a little bit different. Triple pane is a little bit different. So
watch out for that wire metal glass. If you get the wire glass, chicken wire glass, no go.
No kidding. The other thing is that I want just taking a step out, is that odd shaped glass and circular glass. Odd shaped glass has a lot of high propensity to break. So just keep an eye. I don't care which brand you're selling. Odd shaped glass, when it's installed, can have chips that because it's got a lot of different, its edges and so forth. So just be careful of that. So our next lineup from that is what we call our inerte nanoceramic. So look, I was one of the first Dumbos in the world to definitely in the North and South America to market the ceramic line. And when I say Dumbos, not in a negative way, but I was one of the first people in North and South America at a time when many manufacturers said it's smoke and mirrors. There's no such thing as a ceramic film. So I think ceramic films are still great today, but I think that the whole purpose of a ceramic, just to let you know, is that the whole purpose of what we had introduced back then was it was supposed to be dye-free and metal-free. Now you heard us say the word, and I'm not gonna. I know you discussed this with Ralph, who's a pretty knowledgeable guy as well, and many others. So we're not going to go into details of just ceramics, but the whole purpose of a ceramic was that it was dye-free and metal-free. And what that does is you change the actual composition of that product to where it becomes inert. So our products do not have any dyes in them and do not have any metals in them.
When you said it becomes inert, what does that mean?
So inert is something, it has to do with and again, a lot of people don't realize that a true ceramic, and there are many types of ceramics, just like there's a lot of organic material, and is that the purpose of being an inert product is so that its atomic structure is stable. So each atom has electrons that go around it, and each so I don't want to get too technical on it, but I'll leave it with this, is that there is a reason that we call our ceramic films ceramic products, is because the atomic structure is stable. And when the atomic structure is stable, it does not react with chemicals. It's a very, very stable product. So you could put Clorox, I mean, our ceramic products, I can put them in Clorox, which is bleach. And we all know how corrosive, anybody that lives close to the beach knows about corrosion. You can take the ceramic product and put it inside a ceramic cup and put bleach inside of it, Clorox, and leave it for 30 days, and you're not going to see, or 60 days, you're not going to see any corrosion. It's very, very stable. So the ceramic products are really great for, because they don't have any dyes, the color stability is very high, and the corrosion resistance. So if you're going to put this on a boat, and I know, again, there's so many products that are ceramic, now we have come to a point where even if a product has 2% or 5% ceramic, we're seeing a lot of companies call it ceramic. So that would be the equivalent of calling a fat-free burger one that says, hey, look, this is a fat-free burger that only has 2% fat in it. It's either a fat-free burger or not a fat-free burger, right? And so forth. So anyway, so what I'm saying is calling something. So I'll tell you what I mean by that.
I think, like, if you said dye-free and it had dye, I feel like that analogy would be perfect. But what I feel like it would be like is if you put like a little bit of something good in a burger, like you put, a tiny piece of kale in a burger and you called it a salad. It's not quite a salad. It's only got a tiny piece of kale, in it.
Got it. Agreed. I think that may be.
I think Burger King's trying to pull that shit off right now with their Impossible Burger, and they're like, experience how it is to eat vegetables. It's like there's no vegetables when you eat that thing. Like, show me the vegetables. Like, where are they? There's oils in there, like vegetable oil. Right. But anyway, go ahead.
Right. No, so good. Okay. Well said. Well said. Which is, you take a little bit of something, and all of a sudden, it is the entire.
Right.
The claim is the entire thing, right? So, so that being said, so those are some of the ceramic products, which are dye-free and metal-free, and are very, very stable in terms of color. They're very stable in terms of, and what we have done is we have increased the reflectivity of our ceramics just a tad bit to reduce the absorption. Here's the problem with non-reflective ceramic films is they absorb too much heat. And when you absorb too much heat, it has nowhere to go. So the glass breakage incidence is very high. So yes, when people say, look, your ceramics do not have a reflection of 8 or 9%, sure, we can make products in the ceramic category with 8 or 9%, but they're going to have a 63-64% absorption. Good luck with that on different types of glass. So so we've taken, again, to your point earlier, in terms of the film to glass combination, our ceramic 30, 40, and 55 are allowed on low E surface 2, low E surface 3, on dual pane glass, and lots of different options. So we've got with the ceramic products, neat products, priced accordingly. We feel, very, very competitively priced, as well as our biggest opportunities also come in our next line, which is called the Performante line. So the Performante line is what we call a spectrally selective line.
Okay.
And it is what a spectrally selective line, the reason it sounds complicated is basically because if you look at the sun's rays, if this is the outside and the sun's rays are coming in, a spectrally selective film is great at allowing the sun's rays to go through while reflecting. So basically, it's a better filter, whereas a metallized product is it just reflects everything. It's shiny, right? This is a better filter of allowing what glass was meant to allow, which is visible light, and cutting out what are some of the byproducts that we don't want, such as heat and visible light. So
what shades does that come in?
So we are very fortunate to have a 70, a 40, and a 15.
And what are the shades of the ceramic?
30, 40, and 55.
Got it. So if you were wanting to go with, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so the difference between the two would be more, if I'm just from what I'm getting on the shades is, if you have a customer who wants to go the lighter option, the spectrally select is a better option. If you want to go on that darker kind of arena, you're probably moving into the ceramics. Are there any other differentiators between when's the right time to use each?
Yeah, look, the ceramics are great products, and they provide a good value, a step up for somebody that does not want the shine of a blend dual reflective type technology. So what happens is you jump into the ceramics. The only problem with the ceramics is that if you make them darker, the absorption gets up. So in architectural applications, they're not really valid. So what you have to do in order to reduce, so if we wanted to go darker than a 30, right, and we wanted to keep absorption, our goal has been to keep absorption at the 50 to 52% mark. That's been our target, which is still a little higher than the norm, but we feel that it's not in the 60s, which is astronomical, not very good on single pane glass, because on dual pane that goes even higher. So our focus has been if we can keep a 50, 52% mark. So if you see some of our products, you'll see that they're that or lower, right? So how do you differentiate? You can't go darker in a ceramic product than a 30 because absorption gets pretty high. So what we do is we add spectrally selective metals such as gold and silver in those, which are even better at reflecting heat in our Performante line. So we're able to keep performance high, and we're able to reduce absorption because we're using spectrally selective metals, which don't absorb as much. The beauty, one of my favorite products in our portfolio is our COM 40. The COM 40 is about a 40% visible light transmission film, and
that's part of the Performante, right?
That's part of the Performante. Yeah, the 70 is really nice. It's clear. It cuts out about 54% of the total solar energy. Very low reflection, about 9 or 10%. But the COM 40 actually can reduce the reflection of double pane glass, and that is really, really a beautiful thing. So if you talk about night vision, we didn't name it night vision because I still think it could be a little deceiving. But that particular product can actually reduce the interior reflection of clear double pane, not tinted, clear double pane glass, giving somebody a better view at night through that than without.
So if I'm selling that, I'm selling that, I could potentially bring up, tell me if I'm wrong, because I've never sold it, but it sounds like I could bring up to the customer, hey, do you know at night when you have the lights on inside and you see your own reflection, this is going to reduce that by 5 or 10 or whatever percentage. This is going to actually reduce that, giving you better visibility out. Like if that's the case, that's a huge selling point. It's at least one selling point.
It is a huge selling point because at the end of the day, if somebody's got a good view and they're looking for it, if they've got a pool or they're in a condominium, they don't want, they just pay. The higher you go, the more you pay, right? So in a nice tower. So it's a pretty great selling point, along with the fact that you get over 60% of the total solar energy as well with it, and it can be installed. So it's a really neat. So we've got the Performante line, which is a 70, 40, and a 15. And then we've got two other products I want to talk about. Now, we've got the conventional um, decorative films. We've got whiteout, blackout, and frost. One cool thing, Eric, is that we've got all of our decorative films, all three, in 72-inch material, which is not very common. So blackout is not very common. Whiteout is not very common. Frost is pretty common in 72. So we've got them, which allows us to sell 36, 48, 60s, and all the other sizes along with it. So the two other films I want to touch on are, one is one of the latest products we came out with, which you alluded to earlier, which is the DN15. So the DN15 stands for Dark Neutral 15. The DN15 is also allowed on double pane glass, low E Surface 2 and low E Surface 3. Now, this is a very unique product. In fact, if you go to our page, our Veloce Innovation page, you'll see a video on it. And most companies have options in the lighter ranges. We actually have a ton of options in the darker ranges. So we've got a product which is Blend 20 that cuts good performance, over 70% total solar energy, but the reflection is like any other dual reflective type technology. It's very shiny, 40% reflection, very, 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 very shiny, right? So the DN15 comes in at half the reflection, which is about 20% reflection. You still get a high total solar energy, okay, but half the reflection at about 20%. And it's just an amazing, you put this, a lot of people look at a dual reflective and say, well, man, that is pretty shiny. Do you have something that's not as shiny? There are not a lot of options because absorption gets up there. So we've got the DN15 that fits right in there. The next product we have is the Glare 15, which is part of the Performante line. So now we've got a 3-step process, and the Glare 15 has a reflection of about 6 to 7%. So you've got 40% reflection with glare reduction. You've got 20% and 6%. So what does that all mean? What that means is that you can provide glare reduction without the shine of a dual reflective film. So just giving people, so in the commercial arena, we're seeing a lot of DN15 move.
And what I'm hearing is, if I'm going into a residential flat glass quote, just the way I would hit it, because there's obviously a lot of options, is if I have somebody looking for privacy, I would start with, hey, the DN, because to me, I feel like there's an automatic selling point there, and go, hey, if you're looking for privacy, well, I have this product that's going to give you that privacy, but without that mirror look, that shiny look. Because then what's going to happen is, if they're going to get other quotes, they're probably going to get the standard dual reflective quotes, and all of a sudden the differentiating factor is not just who do I want to go with, who's the lowest price. It's, well, they said this one is not going to be as shiny. I don't want shiny on my home, because that's a picture that you can paint for a homeowner. And definitely, like, right there, you painted a picture where you go, have you ever seen like silver mirror films on like pawn shops and things like that? This film's not going to look like that. Those films, if you want them, they're available, but I don't think you want your home looking like that. And, I don't know. I'm just, from a sales end of it, that's where I would go.
And I'll tell you, it's a very good point, because there is a lot of product parity. And again, product parity is, if you look at dual reflective films, especially the darker ones that with glare reduction, 15 to 20 VLT, if I took 5 brands and I put them up from the outside, Eric, they would all look very, very similar, because they all have about 40+% performance, right? And that are allowed to be installed on double pane glass. Now, don't get me wrong, there's some non-reflective ones out there, but the companies won't allow you to put them on double pane low E2 or low E3 surface glass. So what the DN does is it allows our dealers to create a level up here. And the great thing is, this product is not that much more expensive than a DR type product. So it allows our dealers to create a level up here that we wanted to. So in a perfect world, especially in a neighborhood with homeowners associations, we needed something that could get you dark but not shiny, and that's where the DN15 comes in. So that's the DN15 we just released. We announced 30 days ago. We said we would have it out in about a month. We released it about 10 days ago, so we were on schedule for that. And we already have some amazing pictures by our dealers that are coming back.
Yep.
I had a dealer text me from Michigan today that said, Harry, in love with this film. We'll be sending you more pictures. So we'll have some more up tomorrow. So that's a pretty neat product.
Yeah. So
and then
go ahead. No, go ahead. I was going to say, I want everybody to, it's such an important point because, we just spoke about a film that's kind of an outlier and how big of you could take that, dark but shiny, and you can explain that to a customer. You can paint a picture in their head, and now you've given them a reason to pick you and your film, and you've just brought them an option, at least in a way that's a little outside the box. And, last Tuesday we spoke about carbon films, and Ralph was saying, hey, there's perfectly good dyed films out there. They're badass films, they're not going to fade and so on, but you can paint a picture to your customer and help them understand why a carbon film is a better option. And you're accurate, you're not lying to them. That is what it is. And what I'm getting at is you have to reflect on the things you're trying to sell your customers and understand, if you can't figure out what's different and the picture you're painting for them, don't expect them to figure out why they should choose you either. Because if you're going in and you're saying, hey, we have this dual reflective, blah, 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 and then somebody else is going, hey, we have this dual reflective, blah, 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 don't sit back if you lose that job and go, man, I can't believe they didn't pick me. I know I'm the best tinter around. Did you give them a reason to pick you? Did you inform them in a way that, triggered something in their head that made them, reach towards that? So like when you brought up ceramic films earlier, your ceramic films, dye-free, metal-free. When you paint that picture to somebody, hey, this film is dye-free, metal-free. Nobody likes dye in the world. Nobody likes dye. So when you can tell somebody it's dye-free, and then who would really want metal necessarily in their windows? It's, there's a reason for it sometimes, for sure, but it's an easy picture to paint for your customers. So when you go in with that sort of mentality and that sort of like sales angle, so I guess what I'm really trying to get everybody to understand is, these are the takeaways, whether you use Veloce films or not, or whether you want to go with a carbon or a dye, these are the things you can learn from these type of tint wisdoms and understand at least what's out there. Because as you can see, we just talked about calm, inert, performante, which one's more blend, and we're not done. There's a lot of freaking names out there. So when I have somebody like Harry on here to talk about this, it's not because we're trying to drum up Veloce sales. It's because there's a lot of shit out there to know about, and the more you know, the more ammo you have in your arsenal. When you see a window, you see a customer, you're going to know, hey, I know what exists out there. So please understand, these are the takeaways. You have to look at it. With that said, let's keep going.
And Eric, there are good brands out there. There are good manufacturers out there. There are good suppliers out there of a lot of different things. So take what I'm saying and plug it into whatever brand you're carrying, and look at that. I want to touch on this topic because it's also my topic for today, for Super Thursday. In my today's topic, I touched on how to handle price shoppers. And I want to talk about this as it relates to dual reflective films. Look,
let's do it.
If you don't think that we are all price shoppers, I don't care who's listening to this. I don't care how much money you make, if it's $5 an hour or if it's $5,000 an hour, you are a price shopper.
Yep. We can all find things in our lives. We can all find things in our lives that we price shop on, for sure.
Yes. So my point is, when there is product parity, right? When there's product parity, you have to give somebody a reason. I use the example in my Super Thursday of a bottle of water. If I go see a 16-ounce bottle of water at a 24-pack at a grocery store, guess which one I'm looking for? The cheapest one, because it's water is water is water. If it's a 24-pack and it's a 16-ounce water, I am buying the cheapest one. I don't.
Now, let me tell you how bougie I am. Let me tell you how bougie. Okay, so I am exactly the same way as you, but then I found out about like pH levels in water. Now, I have no way, I didn't test the water. I have no way to confirm the health benefits of this, but because that information was put out there, delivered to me, then is marketed on the product. Now, when I buy water, if I see that there's a pH balanced water and then there's a regular water, I go for the pH balanced water and I spend more. And frankly, it's perceived value. I have no freaking idea if it works or not, but I'm willing to take that little step because of that out there. And I think your water example is freaking perfect. And I'll stop interrupting you. Keep going.
Good point. So, but my point was that, so the purpose of these products that we have, and again, this is not unique to Veloce. There are other good suppliers out there. I mean, that have, we'll use the example for 3M because it's a good brand name. They have their own versions thereof, and they have good products and they have good upsell opportunities. And so whatever it is, if you're a 3M dealer, and I'm just using them as an example, go change it. One way is product. There are several other ways you can differentiate and elevate yourself.
Right.
But if I become a price shopper, right? I become a price shopper when I don't see a value. So if a customer keeps asking you what the price is, look in the mirror and say, hey, did I show them the value? Now, if it means something to you, you buy that pH water, it means something to you. To me, if it says that it will be better for your skin, I'll pay more for it, right? If they tell me, hey, look, it's better for your skin, I'm like, all right, okay. It grows hair. I'm paying double. I'm paying triple, man.
Right.
I'm paying triple. So my point is that each person has a perceived value of what the reason you would pay more. So as a dealer, as a salesperson, you have to figure out what is the reason they would pay more, right? And then find something that fits the criteria. If it's a better warranty, whatever it is. The last product I want to talk about today is what we call Cool Touch IR. So this is truly an amazing product, Eric. In clear films, there have been clear films for the last 20 years. And we were very fortunate at Veloce to innovate a technology that is the highest performance clear film in the world. Not only is it the highest performance, but it has the lowest absorption of the high performance. So this has an absorption close to 20%, which is extremely low. And that's why we call it Cool Touch IR, because whereas most products absorb a certain amount, we were talking about products earlier that absorbed 50% of the heat, or 40%, or 45, or even greater. We spoke about some products that absorb 63 or 64% of the heat. So when you put Cool Touch IR, it reflects heat at so many different wavelengths and does not absorb it, that when you put your hand on the window, how many times have you as a dealer in architectural gotten a call that said, hey, I don't think this film is working? And you're like, well, how are you measuring it? And they said, I put my hand on the window and it feels warm.
Yep. To answer your question, very few, because part of the sales pitch for us was always, hey, this is what you want to use. It's a ceramic. It's going to have a natural view out. It's going to give you a natural view in. It's not going to change the look of your windows. Now, the way it works is it is going to absorb the heat. So if you touch the glass, it will actually be higher. But that's part of that informative process to get go and make the sale. Now, I think, the equivalent with Cool Touch IR is, if I'm selling it, I would say, hey, with typical window films, if you touch the window, it's actually hotter than it would be before the window film. It's not with this one, right?
Yeah, it's going to be cooler than any other window film out there. In fact, we have one of our dealers that actually took, and we've got some good, really neat videos coming out over the next 60 days that we're putting together, Eric, that will really show some comparisons of how Cool Touch IR works versus other films. So they'll be really neat, and they'll be presented in a manner that you can use them. They won't be just for our dealers, but they'll be for our dealers to show the consumers so that they can see that it works. But the Cool Touch IR is truly an amazing. Now it is, to get that many layers, it's not cheap by any means. So, if I get a call tomorrow saying, hey, look, I want to, I've heard about the Cool Touch IR, expect to pay a price for it.
Yeah, but that's a good thing, because that price means that you can charge a price for it. It's a differentiating factor. We all have to. Another thing I think we can all see within ourselves is you can't forget that we all perceive higher price as higher quality. Okay, I brought it up on the last one. If you go into a restaurant and it says, if you see a sign, all you can eat steak, $9.99, I'm instantly thinking, what? I would not eat that steak. Terrible. And if you say $150 steak, I'm going to go, wow, I can't even imagine how delicious that steak is,
Yeah.
So higher price does mean higher quality. So, I mean, there is that perceived value. So you can't be afraid to ask for that higher price. When you're paying more for a film, you should have a bigger margin than a cheaper film.
Eric, what really excites me is that the technologies that we have been able to innovate over the last year or so are phenomenal. Because I look at, I worked for a company for 18 years, and I'll tell you, we didn't have the number of innovations that we've had, and I'm just using that as an example, but the number of innovations and the products we have in our portfolio today are, for companies that have been around 20 years or longer, may not have those technologies in them. So we feel very, very excited. The beauty of it is that the best is yet to come. We are still working on some products. If you remember, we were about to come out with a transitional film, one that transitions back and forth. And then when we did some extended testing, our test showed that the field results versus the lab results were very different. And so, and then we did a lot of testing, and we realized that these films are not ready yet. We are working, and we're not there yet, Eric, but we are working on 2 additional protective layers to protect which would be the first of its kind in the world. And again, it's not a done deal yet, so please don't call me and say, hey, when can I buy that? We are working on 2 additional protective layers for the photochromic dyes to protect them, to get them to last longer. If we're successful, and then that's just one of the products we're working on. We're working on a few other things. So the best is yet to come. And so that's really exciting. We named the company Veloce Innovation because I felt that, our industry is a great industry, but it's a little slow to reinvent. We're just seeing technologies, that are 20 years old that are still good today. Don't get me wrong. Let me tell you, even Silver 15, which is a 30, 40-year-old technology, still a good technology today as well. But there's some really neat things we're working on that's really exciting. And our dealers are seeing that. And hopefully what it does, what I like is that hopefully it motivates our competitors to work on better technologies, because I'm sure,
of course,
we can learn a lot from them. We can learn a lot from them.
So can we talk warranties? Residential, commercial warranties on all the films we just spoke. What do they look like?
Yeah, so the residential warranties are lifetime warranties, and the commercial warranties on certain products are 15 years. And then on our ceramic products, we offer an 18-year commercial warranty. We have seen the longevity of ceramics, as you know, with my history. So we feel very good on the ceramic warranties for commercial. Glass breakage are standard. We've got 5 years glass breakage and 3 years seal failure on the films. And then the Cool Touch IR, we actually warranty on triple pane glass as well because of its low absorption. So it's a very unique product.
Cool. So, I mean, some of those warranties are a little longer than traditional commercial warranties, which can range from 7 to 10 years or 5 to 10 years typically. You were mentioning 15 to 18.
Yeah, so 15 is just about everything except our ceramics, which are on the 18 side, because we've just seen the ceramic products. Now, some of our products are made in dry adhesives, and some of the products are made in pressure-sensitive adhesive, because we feel that there's certain products that are better fit for PS versus a dry adhesive.
Cool. So, pretty safe to say your MO as far as a company is new technology, new films. I mean, obviously there's more to it than that, but that's something that you feel is going to be a core part of the future.
It is, but I think that is 1/3 of it. Technologies and products are 1/3 of our MO. Marketing, just the marketing end of it is 1/3, and the partnerships are another third. So we want to innovate not just products. We want to innovate in marketing methods, and you will see that over the next 60 days. You will continue to see some of the new marketing avenues that we're using, including what is called our LMC, which is our local marketing campaigns. So we'll be going into some of our key dealers' areas and creating awareness in those areas. So marketing is a very big piece. As you know, my passion with marketing. So our local marketing campaigns will help our dealers penetrate their markets. In many areas, dealers have been doing this a while, so they've got their go-to arenas on how they're going to expand the markets. Yeah. Our LMC program is going to go in and help them penetrate the market. And then the third side is partnerships. The way we are going about doing business is that you can trust, and I'm putting this out on public, you can trust that we are not going to go around you and do business in a manner that hurts you. Our goal is to grow our dealers' businesses. We know that we cannot do this ourselves. We know it, and anybody that has known me over the last 20 years knows I'm very upfront. Most people have appreciated. Some people have said, no, keep your thoughts to yourself, and I'm okay with that too. But one of the things you'll know is that we have not, my values on how we work with our dealers is we are not going to jeopardize the relationship with our customers. And that's a promise, and you can call me out on that.
Well, especially like the local marketing campaign, if you can pull that off successfully, that's an enormous value that, like, again, I don't know of being executed in the industry. And it was always kind of like a little annoying thing to me, where I was just like, man, there's so much opportunity. Like, why can't the manufacturers go in, find the areas, pick some areas, do some marketing for those dealers that are in the areas, and not leave it all up to the dealer to market themselves. And I think that forced the industry to feel like, hey, we, as a shop, you have to market yourself first and foremost, because you never know what's going to happen in the future. And at the end of the day, I think, as a tint shop, what do you want to do more than just tint windows? Do you want to become a marketing specialist? Do you want to, or do you want to kind of have some things taken care of for you? I always kind of look back to like a Starbucks or a Subway or whatnot. It's like, or even, any like even localized brand, like a Blue Bottle Coffee, you go, well, if you could pick, do you want to start your own and market it? Sure, that's fun. And there's the advantages, but there's also the advantages when a company provides structure and provides brand awareness and provides systems and so on for you to just follow. So you don't have to learn every aspect of the world to run your tint business,
And by not being a traditional manufacturer, right, and having some of the best places in the world produce our products for us, it allows us not to worry about machinery. We take our recipe to the restaurant and we say, hey, this is how we want made, and that's how it's made. So without having to not worry about machinery and so forth, we can focus our efforts on reverse engineering, finding out what are the needs. So just this DN product, we feel very, very good about. We felt that there was a need for a product in the market that was dark but not shiny, that could be applied on double pane glass at an affordable price point and not absurd. So I think we can do things of that nature. We can find ways to market it. We can find ways to grow with the LMC, the local marketing campaigns. We can focus our efforts on growing our dealers' businesses rather than just maintaining a $10 million or $20 million machine and making sure it doesn't break down.
Because what it feels like happens in the industry in general, often, in like almost every brand I can think of, is, they start off and they have territories and they respect their dealers and so on. And then as their business grows, as they get more of a hold, everybody has to grow. Like there's always this in capitalism, there's always this need to grow. You always have to do more and make up for inflation and make up for more market share and so on. And what happens, I feel like, is, there's a couple ways that you can grow your company as a manufacturer. One would be you can invest in your dealers, because your dealers can grow, and as they grow, they're going to purchase more of your film. You're going to grow, so you've accomplished your goal. The other one is just add more dealers. So, Sure, you could just add another dealer, or maybe, convert another dealer from another brand to your brand, and now your sales are going to grow. And what seems to happen from my perspective in the industry is more times than not, you just see more dealers, more dealers. Company gets bigger, there becomes more dealers. Before you know, there's a bazillion dealers. Then somebody else comes around, does the same thing. Well, we'll start off with territories, then we'll hit a point where we just say, too bad, more dealers, more dealers. And that's why, you saying that you're going to focus on a localized marketing campaign, to me, if you maintain that word and you don't go to the more dealers and you say, hey, we're going to invest in our current dealers, you're going to grow with your dealers. I think that's an enormous opportunity in the industry for everybody.
So the three things, a couple of things I want to point out. Number one is, I was talking to a dealer today, and he said, look, I started with this brand. He called us today. He saw some of my videos, and he called us, and he said, I started with this brand, and, I was the only one. And then all of a sudden I find out they don't even tell me that there's somebody else marketing in my area, right? And he said, well, they told me I had a territory.
Right.
And again, I say these things because you can call me out on them. Eric, when somebody says they have a territory, get it in writing, right? If somebody says you have X amount of warranty, get it in writing. When somebody says this, if you can't put your money where your mouth is, you don't really have a territory. So as you guys talk to us at Veloce, we're going to, what we tell you, we are willing to put in writing. So all of those people that think that there is a territory, read your contract. If you have one, if you don't, ask for it. And whether you do business, and this is not anything against anybody. I am trying to find whoever your commitment is to, get it in writing. Cover yourself and make sure you get it in writing. That's the first thing. The second thing is that, people ask me, it's interesting. I've already had one company offer to buy us out, Eric, and I said, look, the company's not for sale, and the reason is, Eric, is that I have a vision, and I want to grow this, and not just in window films. We're launching products outside of window films over the next 90 days or so. It's been delayed a little bit because of some of our new window films, such as the DN15, and with Veloce Automobilia coming on board. But what happens, Eric, is that as companies grow, they forget where they came from, number one. Number two is, I love, what Amazon has been able to do is, and I love something that Jeff Bezos says, and I've said this before, is that he says, operate every day like it's your first. And I want why am I bringing this up? This is not just about me, but this is about you as a dealer. I want you, all the dealers out there, to think about what they were willing to do for their first customer. Wash the car, right? If you're doing a car window tint, wash the car, clean
Spend
the
as long
windshield,
as time as you need with the customer. We got all day. Let's explain this, and anything you need, right? And then as you get more and more customers, you get sick of the ones with questions, and you get sick of the ones that are slow moving, and you get sick of it. You have to treat every customer the same way forever, 1,000%.
Yeah, and I go back. I said earlier that, look, I read and I listen to people and I watch people and I study them. And Jeff Bezos, what he has put together is, if you go back 15, 20 years in time and you say somebody could do this, it would be like the 8th miracle or the 9th miracle of the world. It would be the 9th wonder of the world of what he has put together in terms of logistics. It's amazing. All right. So, so I want you to think about the things that you were able to do. The last thing I want to touch on this topic is, with the more dealers, is, Eric, as companies become publicly traded, nothing against publicly traded companies, maybe someday we'll be a publicly traded company, but as companies become publicly traded, strategies go down the drain, because it's kind of the, as one of my mentors says, it is the tail wagging the dog, right? So you can come up today, we have a great economy, and you can show 50% growth, your shareholder. You create your own enemy because your shareholder says, oh, wow, Eric, in 2019, you showed us 50% growth. We have a better economy in 2020. Right. We want to see 60% growth. So what happens is, and then you have to understand that there's some huge companies. We're very fortunate in one way to have companies such as 3M and Eastman and Saint-Gobain that are in this industry. They're amazing. Mm-hmm. They're conglomerates, right? And very ethical companies, very, from at the top, they're very, very ethical. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, shareholders still make the call. So what happens is when these mm-hmm. companies get this big and they want more returns, there's, window mm-hmm. film, whether it's 3M or even in Eastman or in Saint-Gobain. I mean, these are very small pieces of the big pie. So what happens is, hey, our shareholders want more. Eric, I want you to take this downstream and I want you to get this done. So it's a lot easier for the sales teams and the executive team to say, guys, I need up. It's a lot easier to come into Houston, Texas and say, we're just going to add 5 more dealers than to say, okay, we're going to come up with, it's the path of least resistance to be able to say, okay, we're just going to open 5 instead of say, okay, how can we help you grow your business? Can we launch a local marketing campaign to grow your business? What are the other things that we can do? So those are some of the fundamentals that we can't change, and no knock on publicly traded companies because they have so many other advantages and they do so many other things so much better than Veloce does that I really look up to them and I want to learn from them.
Yeah, I mean, some of the publicly traded companies that I feel like are kind of outliers that maybe can bring this to make even more sense is to people watching that may not be familiar with publicly traded companies is you can see it in like Tesla, you can see it in Amazon, you can see it in Netflix. These companies for years, they were low price stocks and you saw Netflix just taking a pounding on the stock market. They were doing that because they were focused on long-term goals and long-term fundamentals, and they disregarded current profits. They disregarded it. So they wouldn't give up they would rather give up short-term profits for long-term goals. That is very, very hard to do when you're a publicly traded company. So again, I have no skin in this race or whatever the saying would be, but that is just kind of this fundamental problem when you bring in, you either become a publicly traded company or you bring in investors and so on. It takes away from, hey, what's best for the next 5 years? And you say, well, what am I going to do to keep my job or get my bonus this next year and the year after and so on. So,
the other thing is that, these because these are small divisions, many times that these divisions are stepping stones for people within these big conglomerates to go into bigger divisions. So window film, maybe if you're part of a 40, 50, 60 billion dollar corporation and you're not even $1 billion, so that's, let's say you're $500 million, so you're not even 1% of that. So what happens is and I'm not saying that's what people's goals are, but they could be that it's a stepping stone to go into a much bigger 2 billion, 3, 4, 5 billion, and nothing wrong with that. We each have our individual goals to get to, so no knock on them, but it's just it's the nature of the beast. You just can't change it. Is that the shareholders are, they can drive your price up and they can drive your price down.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, it doesn't come down to whether you're publicly traded or not. That just becomes kind of like a pull or a push, whatever it is. At the end of the day, the company's core values and the people running it are the most important. And like I said, you can see that with certain companies like Tesla. Elon doesn't give any cares about short-term profits.
Yeah, and that's what one thing that I really love about Elon. I really love it is that the guy is still focused on doing the right thing, and love him or hate him, it doesn't matter. But one thing I respect is he's doing, and that that goes to something, Eric. It's a lot easier when a company is starting off, because I don't know, I don't know. Maybe in 5 years we'll be a publicly traded company, or maybe not be a publicly traded company. So my thought is that, look, if you're the question that I always say that as a businessman that I have to ask is who do I want to do business with? Not what I want to do, not what I want to buy. Who's going to stand behind me? Who's going to help develop me? Who's going to have I have a dealer, a very close dealer, more of a friend. He came to me and he said, look, I want to turn my company around. I've been stuck at X amount, this is a very well-to-do company, Eric. Can you help me write a marketing plan, right? And I said, sure. I said, look, I can, and he's a very good dealer. So it's always been who am I going to do business with rather than what.
Yeah.
When I got married, I looked at, okay, I wanted to see who am I getting married to rather than does she know how to cook or does she do this or does she do that or does she do that? If you answer the who, then in good times you're together and in bad times you can. Because you know what, Eric, we're going to make mistakes just like everybody else. And if you do business with the right company, they're going to be there for you in good times and they're going to be there for you. I had a dealer call me today who said, man, winter has been really rough. I need, it's just, and he was just sad. He said, winter's been very rough. I've got kids and it's been rough. I called up a friend of mine who runs one of the largest companies in the United States and who was so kind. And I love this guy. And I said, hey man, I need your help. I've got a dealer. This winter's been rough. It's hurting his family. If you've got any large projects coming along, can you please keep him as one of your subcontractors? And he said, sure, send me. And you know what's interesting, Eric? This guy he's such a good friend of mine. I don't even do business with him yet, right? I think I will, but I'm just saying he's been a friend. But he said, sure. We didn't even talk Veloce. He said, sure, if that's a friend of yours, I'll see what I can do on one of my larger projects. And he was so humble and said, I'll do what I can. So the who question should be answered before the what. Before you look at Veloce and say, hey, I like their products, say, is this the guy I want to do business with? And if I don't fit your values, forget what I have. Don't do business with me, right? And vice versa for whoever you want to do business with.
So let me jump into the comments and just look through any comments and any questions. If you have any questions, just drop them in and we'll go from there. So Billy said, has anyone seen Glare 15? Beautiful. So
thanks, Billy.
And then let's see. Chris Queen said, Carol, we need some interior pics and exterior pics of DN15 installed. So super helpful to be able to show the customer what it looks like. I saw that you just came out with some like suction cup like sales kits that go on the glass. And I mean, it's not a picture, but it is a good way to demo. Hey, you can see what it looks like inside from the glass. You can go outside, see what it looks like outside. Not really apples to apples because it's not covering the whole window, but it does give you an idea, right?
It's funny you say that because I should have mentioned that. Look, guys, we deal with a company called Quick Draw Tools, and a friend of mine who I have so much respect for. I describe people in this industry that are really great at what they do. I call them monsters, right? And Jeremy Shapiro is one of those monsters, man. And he's a good dealer of ours, but more importantly, he's just a great guy. And he's an innovator, and he's created some wonderful tools. We had 3 calls yesterday that said, hey, I want to buy these tools. You can look at them on his website. I think they're on his website. If not, then we've got them on our Veloce Innovation. We've shared the video. You can also, I believe, find it on YouTube. So there's some new tools, but he has done a great job of putting together some tools that will help you sell Veloce products, especially the non-reflective and the low reflective type of products. He's got a neat technique. You can hang them instead of taking samples. He's got these beautiful kits. And I had a dealer call me and said, hey, I'd like to buy them from you. And I told him, I said, look, I believe in Jeremy. I believe in what he does. And instead of putting a markup and bringing that product in-house, what we have done is we want you to get it. It's a tool. We don't need to make money on it. Go directly to Jeremy. We'll be posting the prices of these tools. Go directly to Jeremy and you can buy them, and he can custom make them.
If you buy enough film, maybe you get them for free?
Yes, for sure.
I don't know. Just a suggestion. Trying to get people free sales kits.
Listen, if you buy enough film, you get a Lamborghini for free too. Enough is the key word.
Sure, fair enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, those sales kits, I saw the video on YouTube and they're on Jeremy's channel, Jeremy Shapiro. And basically, what I liked about the sales kits was, like you said, you put the little suction cup, you can hang them, you can take them off, you can hang a different one, you can hang them all next to each other, you can walk outside and see them without somebody holding them up against the glass. So I think it's a cool little sales kit. And, but you should get pictures of DN15 from the inside and from the outside, every film.
Over the next you should over the next 2-3 days you will see we've got some coming in. We actually already have some, so okay. we'll be posting those.
So Ralph Van Pelt, our guest from last Tuesday, asked, this DN product sounds interesting. Could you explain in layman's terms how this technology in respect to performance after it has been installed in the glass? If it is not too shiny, how does it reflect solar energy? If it absorbs any solar energy, how does it manage the transfer of heat or radiant energy? So basically, I think the question is, how does this technology work? Where is the energy going? It's got to go somewhere.
So Ralph, that's a very good question. Ralph, as you may know, and I'll speak to everybody in general, that there are certain metals that are better at reflecting heat than others, right? So we spoke about ceramic products. Ceramic products have a better spectral reflection. So again, I want to put this in layman's terms, is that ceramic products are better at filtering the heat and the light. So the metals that we use in the DN product are the same way, is that what they're able to, that's why it's a more expensive product. We could not make a product that is a dual reflective product do what it is, because the metals used in the blend series, which is our dual reflective product, are not as good in the spectral transmission. The way they reject heat, they have to reject heat, is by reflection, by reflecting everything. So we've upgraded the metals in the DN product in order to make the products be able to. Now, the product does have an absorption of 52%. So Ralph, it's not that it's a low reflective product, but we have done enough testing in the field to feel that 50 to 52% is still good on flat glass. Good question, Rob.
So, sorry, just looking through these comments.
Yeah.
So Billy Ayton had said, what does territory mean? I've seen this yet, competing bids from companies that have territories in place. I won't mention any names, but they're big brands. I mean, I feel like, if we wanted to mention names, we should mention names of who this hasn't happened with, because it would be a shorter list than who it has happened with, because it feels like just about everybody. Carol asked about our local marketing campaign available to our dealers. I need to take a quick bathroom break. As you can see, I drink nothing but coffee and coconut water through these entire things.
Man, I've been watching you do the pee-pee dance. Go take a bath.
Oh my gosh. So while I do that, if you could possibly expand a little more about that local marketing campaign, when it's going to come out, if there's any details. And, I just feel like that's super exciting, and anything you can mention on it, let's do it. I'll be right back.
Sure. So guys, the LMC, which is the local marketing campaign, is kind of a little bit of our secret sauce. We're hearing some background noise, so I'll speak a little louder. It's a little bit of our secret sauce, but the whole purpose of the local marketing campaign was to avoid dealer saturation. If by enabling our LMC, our local marketing campaigns, if we want to grow in a given area, then instead of coming in and saying, hey, we're going to put in 2 other dealers in the area, or not even saying, just going ahead and doing it, because nowadays we're seeing a lot of, hey, just like the dealer I spoke to today who said, look, I didn't even know there was another dealer in our area. The local marketing campaign is a consumer awareness campaign that we are launching in local markets and select markets. So we're not going to be able to do this, the LMC, in every single area in the United States. That's not going to happen. We are going to, the LMC is not something we're going to be marketing so wherever we have good dealers, where we feel are invested in our brand and invested in pushing, we will be pushing that. So just for what you missed, Eric, we're not going to be launching the LMC. It's a very, very detailed and very, it's a very, very intensive program. So we're not going to be launching this in every area where we have a dealer. If you have shown us that you're a committed dealer, then we will be pushing that campaign. We don't have the resources to launch an LMC in every single. Not only do we not have the resources, but realistically, even if we had the resources, we want to run the local marketing programs in areas where we feel that it is mutually beneficial. If we're running a program and it's benefiting you 80% and us 20%, that's not, it's something that is mutually beneficial, right? So, but it is a little bit of the secret sauce. I'm not able to go into all the details. Just understand it is a consumer awareness program. And I also want to say this, that the LMC in Florida, in Orlando, Florida, is going to be different from the LMC in Orange County versus New York, because we have found that there are certain avenues that work in New York that don't in Orange County, that don't even think about in Florida. So we are customizing our local marketing campaigns to the relevant market rather than launching. What we see today is there are companies that are trying to launch consumer awareness programs, not many, but it is a one size. So one of the companies that I've seen a good, again, I use 3M as an example because they're a good brand and the people know of them. But they are launching somewhat. They've launched somewhat of a program, but what we've seen is it's more of a one size fits all, which is they're trying this something very similar all across the country. Ours are going to be very, very targeted to our dealers.
Got it. And that makes perfect sense, because even if you had the resources, it's not an effective strategy to just go wide like that. I like the sounds of everything you said. It sounds like you have your ducks in a row. Matt Blackmore from Tint Stuff asked on the similar topic, Harry, I asked you this a little while ago. Why do you think most film companies so far behind in marketing? Not speaking about Veloce, but just in general, like, is there something that you see out there that you feel kind of leads to that, them not being ahead? Because how has it become where you have individual dealers being on the forefront of marketing, but then you have these large companies with a lot of resources and tons of experience falling behind in marketing? Not all of them.
Matt, that's a good question. Look, marketing is, it's a buzzword, and it does sound like it's very easy, but it's not. It's really not. The problem that we see is that, when you have companies that are $50 billion, where their window film division is not even $500 million or 400 or 300, or in many cases, $50 million, where are you going to invest your money? Are you going to invest it in growing a brand such as Scotch Tape, which is an amazing brand, or are you going to put it in the window film market? So the part of the problem becomes that the window film industry is smaller, and when it's owned by a company that has 1,000 other brands within it that may be bigger or equal to, or some extremely bigger, extremely larger, what happens is that the attention that the industry gets is not. Now, Eastman has done a good job with its Lumar brand. I'm seeing that if it's trying to create some awareness with its Lumar program, and that's pretty neat. So at least Eastman has got one of its brands that it pushes and does a good job on. So it's not that easy. The other problem is that when you have traditional manufacturers, their focus is so diversified, right? It's so diversified. We have to make film. We have to make film. We have to make film instead of, how do we sell it downstream? The last part I want to talk about, to Matt's point, is that, look, when you have these big companies, they're great companies, but at the end of the day, they have taken away, and they don't connect to the average dealer. So how many of the executives of these companies know, or how many of the divisions know what you, the window tinter, company goes through in an automotive or architectural market on what you do to grow your business. So there's a little bit of disconnect, and there are decisions made over here. We're very fortunate that we are very connected, and I enjoy it. I mean, people ask me, they said, hey, are you a president of the company? Are you the CEO of the company? And I said, these titles don't mean anything. In my title, I call myself the founder because I started it. Or someday we'll have somebody who's a lot smarter than me that's going to run the company. I'm going to run the company, but there'll be a acting president or an acting CEO. I don't care about titles. So I want to be connected to my customer. Even people that don't do business with me. There was a dealer that called me about a week ago at 11 p.m. because he knows I work late. He's not a customer of mine. From the greater Austin area. And he said, Harry, I was about to close shop 2 months ago, and you helped me, get back into it. And he said, man, I feel like I'm getting to that point again. I need your help. I spoke to him. He's not a customer of mine. All right. I spoke to him. And so I'm very accessible, not because I have to have your business. Listen, if I don't get your business and I can help you, I'm good. It's filling a hole in my heart. So I feel we're very connected. Having Carol on board and some of our team members, all of our employees have been out in sales calls. They've been out seeing installations. They understand a little bit about your business. And having Carol on board, she's been a dealer. She's installed film, multiple brands. She keeps me connected wherever I feel like, I'm going off. She'll say, Harry, you got to understand this, or that's not how you put up film, or that's not. So just having good people, and our dealers are so awesome. You saw Chris Queen jump on, you saw, Billy Ayton. I mean, these are people that keep me. It's like, Harry, you don't get it. And I'm okay if I don't. There are a lot of things I don't get, and I'm okay to be told, Harry, you don't get it, because I want to get it.
That's a good answer. Mike Powell, another one of those people that are just like so generous with their time. Will go out of his way to answer anybody's questions about anything all the time. A little earlier in the stream, Jason Carr asked a freaking $1 million question. He said, don't want blinds, but want nighttime privacy, ? So obviously that's a question every window tinter has been asked before. They want, privacy day and night. Obviously, as of now, there's no film out there that can do that. It seems like I don't even have an imagination how it could be done other than with spotlights on the outside of your windows. And, at the end of the day, making it brighter on the side, you have the privacy, and darker on the side, you want to be able to see out from, and so on. Is there anything I'm just curious, in the works, or any inkling or a little hair of possibility that that's something that Veloce could solve in the future?
We've discussed this internally. We've discussed this with our manufacturing partners, and we've actually come up with some great ideas. But realistically, there are a lot of things that we're working on that we see in fruition. Even as bad as today's transitional films are, and as bad as our transitional film, I can see a future for transitional films if we can find some good. Would you call protective layers? I can see us increasing the life. That is something I don't see in the near future, at least not from us. And again, we're not the only company. There are companies much larger than us. I mean, Eastman has engineers in Saint-Gobain and 3M and Matico, and a lot of good brands have. Everybody's working on this. So I honestly think that is one of those things that if somebody does come out with it, I don't know if we'll be the first one. There's some other things we're working out that are niche products that I think we could be just like the Cool Touch IR type product that we're working on that I think we could be the first on. But that's one that I think it'll probably be one of the big three that'll hit it before we do.
Be a good one to hit. I'll tell you, that would obviously be a game changer for everybody. I mean, that would
we'll
knock
be learning. If somebody hits it, we'll be watching and we'll be learning from them. If somebody hits it way before us, look, we don't have to be the first in everything. If there's somebody that leads the way, we'll just learn and better ourselves from that.
It would knock the blinds business on their ass if somebody in the window film industry comes up with something like that, because who doesn't want now, like with all the modern construction, who doesn't want that view and keep the privacy and so on. Yeah.
And Jason, if you think of something like, guys, one of the beauties of of if you guys have ideas on how to solve something, come to us, right? And we will sign a non-disclosure agreement with you. We will also sign a sales agreement with you that if we do develop something, that was your idea that we didn't have, we'll share that with you. Then you will get some royalties of that. We are very, very open. We are not a company that wants to take your idea and take it to market and cut you out. And again, we'll put our money where our mouth is. We will sign agreements with you. You want a territory, we'll put that in writing. So I want all of those people, I want to keep bringing back this point. If you think you have a territory, go ask your supplier for it in writing. If they don't, probably don't have a territory.
Billy asked a little earlier in the chat. You mentioned that you'll take calls from other like tint companies and so on, 11 p.m., 12 p.m., or 12 a.m. rather. You're working all hours of the night. He had brought up, like, just to get an idea. I know you're a car guy, but and you obviously have kids and you have a wife. What's your life looking like currently? Like, is it 95% Veloce, or are you finding some time for yourself, or what's going on?
No, I'm not finding time for myself, and honestly, when I look in the mirror, I'm sacrificing my family. I'm sacrificing the time with my family. Now, what I am doing is the time I am spending is great quality time, but I need more quantity time. And I look at this, guys, is that, and when I look at myself in the mirror, I feel like I'm not being the best to my family right now. So it's if you ask me, hey, tell me one of your weaknesses in your life right now, I would say that I'm really investing a lot of time in the business. But I did this 20 years ago when I started with the brand that I worked for. I'll tell you, I hope my wife's not listening to these. I would work till 11:30 at night. My boss would come in at 8:30, leave at 5. And this is my boss. And and this is when I made the least amount of money. I made $26,000 my first year, right? $26,000. And then, my girlfriend would call me up at the time and she would say, hey, where are you at? And she would sometimes and I was I'm at work, and she would just show up. She thought I was goofing off or, somewhere else. This one time she's like, where you at? And then she was parked in the parking lot for an hour, just watching nobody leave. So, there comes trust me, I got some other horror stories I'll tell you later. But my point is that, look, you want to build a farm, guys. We all get an opportunity. And what's beautiful? People ask me, they're like, is it difficult? It's not difficult. They say, is it stressful? It's not stressful. It's just long. It's not hard. It's not stressful. It's none of the, it's just long. And if I'm going to build a farm, then I need to plant a lot of good seeds, right? So what I look at is I have to put this time in, and I'm getting a better work-life balance as time goes on. Carol's helping me, Sheila, Yazi, Fraz, Elliot, our entire team is helping me quite a bit. And I didn't mention some of the other people, but so my point is that I'm getting better at it, but I need to get a lot better. But this is the time, guys. If you've got a business, we are in some of the greatest economies that we've ever seen in this country. If you're not taking advantage of this, you've got to take advantage. This will not always be the case. Economies come and go. Good times come and go. Plant those seeds so that when you look around, I've got a short story. Eric, I emailed you. I texted you some pictures of a friend's house that I went to with all the garage.
I thought it was a mirror. I thought it was a mirror because it was so deep. The garage was so big. I was like, is this it's a mirror effect or what? But anyway, go ahead.
So I went to a friend's house who is just I look at him as a mentor, but just an amazing. He's 46 years old. He used to go to the same university I did, and while I was goofing off in my 20s, racing, drag racing, and skipping classes to go to the beach and just hanging out, this guy was building an empire. He was planting the seeds to a farm. And today I went to his house, and the guy has 14 cars on one side, and you name it. I mean, it's like he has more cars than the Ferrari dealership in Houston in his garage, right? And he sacrificed quite a bit in order to be where he's at. And what I'm saying to you guys is, I'm doing that. You don't have to do it to the extreme that I am, but we are seeing some of the greatest times in things. Plant your seeds, and yes, you have to make sacrifices. My son's coach, his daughter she's one of the top tennis players in under 18 in the state of Texas. I think she may be like top 5, and she practices 5 hours a day. Guys, if you want to be a monster and you want to build something big, you have to make sacrifices. Don't think you're going to do it on a 9-to-5 budget.
Yeah, that's 1,000% correct. Those are some easy ways. Like I used to get ahead would be just staying open longer, just being open on a Sunday, being open on a Saturday. And you're like, oh my gosh. So when everybody else is closed, how much business comes your way when you're the only one open? The one thing,
Eric, real quick, my younger brother, guys, has a PhD in physics. Okay. A very, very smart guy. I don't have the smarts. I don't have the IQ that he does. I don't have the IQ that many of you do. I have to make up for it in just busting my butt, and that's what I believe in, and that's all I have control over. I can't change. I'm reading. I'm learning from the Bezos and the Bezos guys and the Elon Musks of the world. I'm learning from them, but I still don't have that level of IQ. But I'm going to bust my ass.
So takeaway: it does take some sacrifice, and most of the time, investing in yourself now and putting forth that effort now can have a bigger reward for the future. Obviously, taking care of your family, and you might be missing them now. Hopefully, it allows for even more opportunity in the future to spend time with them. The one thing I want to point out that Christina Yorkie Rodriguez actually posted, she said, self-care is most important, Harry, and that was like a trigger for me, because I know when I had a window film business, I definitely let myself get beat down. I definitely took it to an extreme. And, when I was able to take a step back from that and reflect on it, the one thing I 100% believe in is, there's no amount of money, there's no amount of anything that is going to benefit your family, your friends, anything, if you're gone. If your health isn't there, there's literally nothing else matters. It's one of those things you almost have to pause and think about and go, hey, I don't know anything else but life, but I need to make sure that I can continue to know this life, because if I'm gone, then it doesn't really matter what kind of company I build, what kind of money and so on at the end of the day. So it's kind of, it's not really directed at you, Harry. It's just kind of something that was my own experience where, it is important. You can't live with back pain forever. You have to eat well. You have to get exercise. I think the number one thing I realized was you have to sleep. You have to sleep. So while it's important to bust your ass, and work those long hours, just make sure you're taking care of yourself, because there is a point where it can become diminishing returns, and those extra hours are actually not getting you as much as extra sleep and so on. What do you think?
So Eric, first of all, Christina, thank you so much. And guys, a little bit on a mission right now, but please, if you see something like that, Eric, you too, you've been through this. Even if you haven't been through this, if you see something that I can be better at, please shoot me a text, shoot me a private message, a direct message, whatever else. And yes, listen, I need to improve in that. I need to, and God's been very kind that with the growth of the company and with great team members, I've been able to become a little better, but I think I have to get a lot better. So thank you, Christina, and thank you everybody else. Guys, if you see something, if you see a meme out there that is deserving of me, even if it's sarcastic, send it to me. It'll remind me.
Christina sent a follow-up message. She said, I was told in the past you can't give 100% if you don't have 100%. I think that's very well put.
Beautiful.
Very well put.
Agreed.
If you're hungry or you haven't slept and you're wondering why you can't stand your customers or your staff, it might be because you haven't slept and you're hungry. It might not have anything to do with them. Yeah.
I'll tell you this, that if you enjoy what you do, I look at it and I was like, I'm getting paid to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so much fun. I mean, it's just so much fun, and it feels a piece of, hole in my heart that is just, I love it. I love what I do, and you guys make it awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the things I've been asked quite a bit with Tint Wiz is like, okay, what's the future hold? And, what industries are you going to expand to outside the tint industry? And, my feelings on that is, why would I expand outside the tint industry? Like, there's so much, like, there's so much community within the tint industry. There's so much opportunity. Why not just see that through long term? And, even the transition from a tint company to Tint Wiz full time, to me, it was me taking control of the part of the business that I love the most. The part of the business I love the most was the technology side of it, the efficiency that we were able to provide, the systems we were able to put in place to win the business and make the customers happy and get those reviews and so on. And I thought, wow, if I could do this for everybody, that's way more fun than doing it by myself. So that was that transition. And what I'm trying to say is, if you find yourself without that same passion in your own film business, try to break it down and say, well, what are the aspects of the business that I love, and what do I not like? And then figure out, hey, can I hire somebody to do the things I don't like? Or is there a way to focus more on the services I do like, or the types of customers, or the market, or so on? Don't be passive and let the wind take you. Identify what you like, what you don't like, and you can start making changes and make it something you love. Because really, when it's something you love, you will be up at 2 a.m. with a smile on your face, enjoying yourself, getting more and more and more done. And that's when I think business really becomes fun.
And if you're in your tint business right now and you're frustrated, right? Listen to what Eric said, which is do the things that fill that hole in your heart. If you have to pay somebody, if you can afford to pay somebody, yeah, you may not make as much, but what's going to happen is you're going to have a better lifestyle. So continue to that frustration. I definitely need to take care of myself and so forth. But I'll tell you, I love what I do. It's like, it's amazing. So listen to what Eric said. Get some help.
So, before we wrap this up, is there anything we didn't touch upon that you want to touch on, or should we? What do you think?
Eric, it's. I just want to touch on something that's just really dear. 2 things, and 2 things, which is, number one is your team. Whoever you're working with. If they're adding a value to you, an employee or a boss or whoever it is, let me tell you, good teams are very, very difficult. Respect them, and understand that people have choices. And
Sure.
If somebody's stuck with you for 10, 15, 18 years and they decide to leave you, don't look at them. Look in the mirror. Don't take pity or something on yourself that, oh my God, look in the mirror. So if you've got good teams, if you've got good employees, find a way to keep them. And not every employee wants the same thing. Some may want more vacation. Some may want a partnership. Some may want something else. Find out what it means to them. Some may want more money. Some may want benefits. Right. I don't care. But if you've got a good team, so that's the first thing I want you to say is look around you. And if there's people adding value and running your business well and helping you, find a way to keep those people. Turnover is very, very expensive. Plus, if you enjoy their company, that's even better. The second thing I want to say is that invest in yourself, something that I didn't do as much of in my previous life. I worked like a slave, but I really didn't invest in myself because I was just trying to do more to help the company that I worked for. So invest in yourself and get outside of your head. Listen to podcasts, listen to sales tips, listen to this. Don't try to figure out all the answers within your head. And instead of listening, I'm a big believer, don't listen to the radio. Don't listen to things, just like you take, I think you guys are going to get tired of me hearing this, just like you eat junk food, which is not good for your body, junk information that does not help you grow is not. Spend that time listening to a podcast about family, about how to be a better husband, wife, son, father, whatever it is, better businessman, better how to treat your employees better. Don't take these things. They're experts in the field. So invest in yourself. Don't put garbage in that brain because it will manifest in garbage action someday. Stop listening to all junk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Just wanted to touch on those things.
Both those things, we didn't have access to such good information before. Your options were read a book, which sucks in my opinion. I'm not a big book guy. Yeah. I like books on audio, but that's not a book anymore. Once it's on audio, it's not really a book. It's somebody talking. So you had books, which even books, how do you find out which are the good books? There's a few ways, and then you had TV and you had radio, and TV and radio are junk. So compared to what we have access to now, which is podcasts and audiobooks and self-publishing and so on. So, man, I 1,000% agree with you on that subject. And, it can change your whole perception. If I listen to the news, which I don't, but like if you have it on or you have the radio on, like you start, it puts you in a vibe. Like you start to oh, that's so stupid. Yes. What is that? And like it fills your head with junk. Like you said, it's junk food. You have junk information, exactly like you said. To your other point, when you're hiring somebody, you're working with somebody, you're whatever it is, even if this is how you look at your customer, but I feel like this is how you deal with human beings. If you want to have a nice life is, you can't look at it as me, because while it feels like it feels like it's the Eric show, right? My life is the Eric show. It's all about me. I only know me. Everybody else is outside of me. So I must be the star character. Well, the thing is everybody feels like that because everybody's inside of their own body. And if you take advantage of other people, if you feel that, like, if you always kind of look at how can I benefit me and you don't take them into consideration, like, even if you get away with that, that's not a good way. It's not a good karma. It's not a good way to live your life because they're them. They have a family. They have a life. We all, as far as we know, are here for about, 70 to 120 years. So do you want to waste somebody's 10 years or 20 years and take advantage of them or treat them wrong or, short them on pay or whatever it is? Do you want to do that to somebody else? Like, how would that possibly work out in the end for you? So I always try to take that approach when you're hiring. Like you mentioned, I'd always want to know, hey, what are your goals? What's most important to you? Because I want them to be happy. I want them to love their job, not just like their job, not just tolerate their job, not just do what I say. I want them to love it as much as I love it. And my goal is to figure out how to make that happen because that builds a strong team. And, that becomes the foundation of your business. And then when you're able to put that in place, you start eliminating problems like people not coming to work or people mistreating customers or people not doing their jobs. That doesn't exist when people are actually passionate. So one last thing I wanted to bring up. I was at a hotel last week. If anybody saw the super, maybe shaky internet connection I had, that's why. But I was at a hotel, and what I noticed at this hotel was the service was absolutely incredible. Every single person, the person at the gym, the person opening the door, and I finally kind of broke down and I said, I'm not going to waste this opportunity. I went to the guy at the gym on my way out and I said, hey, can I ask you a question? Like, you're freaking awesome at your job. Like, this is incredible. And mind you, this is a guy who told me to leave the gym when I was on the phone. So I was on the phone in the gym and he was like, excuse me, sir, we have a no phone policy while you're inside the gym. If you could step over here. And that could easily piss me off. And I could have been like, this, that. But it didn't. The way he delivered it to me, I was like, absolutely, sir. And I walked out and finished my phone call. So anyway, I asked him, I said, why are you so awesome? Is this something did they pay you a lot to be this great? Is it their training? Were you always this awesome? How did this work? Because to me, I just want to know, how do you find people like this? Because man, this is a team. And what he said was, what it is they go through an extensive process of hiring and getting to know not only your job capabilities, but you as a person and making sure that you're the right fit for the position. And it was a great answer and it really brought some clarity to my world. And what my takeaway from that is or what a little Facebook trigger you see too is you'll see people say, and I had a good friend actually tell me this directly. He said, I hired somebody and I don't know, it must be this next generation, but he's so lazy and he moves so slow. If you find yourself using the word like generation, stop. It's not the generation. It's just the person. And what you should think is stop focusing on how shitty that person is and start focusing on how shitty you are at identifying good people for your business. Because if you hire somebody and that person sucks and that person stops coming to work, that person mistreats clients, that person's lazy, that person's slow, you should not be focused on why they suck. You should focus on why you hired them. Why didn't you hire somebody that was better? It's on you. And it's not to put you down in any way. It should be a light bulb and go, why do you even think you're good at hiring? How many people have you hired in the past? How long did you spend on it? So, it's just one of those humility, like self-reflecting things. And it's no problem. You hire somebody who sucks, go, now I know what to look for in somebody else and what to avoid when I'm hiring somebody else. So just want to put that out there. How you treat, echoing what you just said, Harry, how you treat the people around you. A lot of that just comes from, your own values and how you view yourself and so on. But this isn't a trial run, folks. This is the one life we think we have. So it's not a practice run. Take it seriously. Make sure you're happy. Try to make the people around you happy. And I don't think there's a way to lose if that's the way you go.
And surround yourself with people that add value to you. Surround yourself with people that raise you. There are two kinds of people. They'll either raise you or they'll bring you down. Nobody keeps you in the middle. Surround yourself with more of the people that raise you, because it's either you're going up or you're going down. You're not staying still. That's
100% correct. So maybe that's a good place to wrap it up. I do want to mention next week, I just want to pull up the schedule just to make sure, since we're talking about schedules, but next week is going to be our biggest wisdom week ever. We have a wisdom plan for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that's not going to be
a busy man.
That's not going to be every week thing, but next week we just happen to have a busy lineup, actually, and the following week after that, we also have a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So I don't know if that's going to be a new thing. I just kind of realized when I looked at the following week that it's 2 weeks in a row. But a lot of Tint Wisdom coming up. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Harry, for doing this and taking this time to spend with us. I know it was a couple hours you could have spent with your family, but really appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Have a good night, folks. Thanks again for watching.